Welcome to our 2020 King Holiday signature event, Beloved Community Talks. Thank you for joining us for these courageous conversations as we explore systemic racism and the actions required to end it. We invite you to share this live stream event on your social media platforms. Our moderator for tonight's courageous conversations, Jamil Smith, senior writer, Rolling Stone magazine. Our final conversation, The Fierce Urgency of Now, with Dr. Bernice A. King, CEO, The King Center, takes us beyond the courageous conversation into active participation in bridging the racial divide.
Professor, author, and activist Ilyasa Shabazz, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And of course, we have none other than Reverend Dr. Bernice King. So, Dr. King, I'll start with you on this. I just want to get, both of your reactions to the conversations that we've been having. Any particular thoughts that come to mind?
Well, I think the most important thing that I heard over and over again tonight is about educating and enlightening people. I have a saying that it's irresponsible to leave people in their hate, in their anger, in their fear, in their ignorance, that we have an obligation to elevate people's thinking because people are born into environments and circumstance. We all come to this earth as innocent little children, and we don't choose the environment or circumstance that we are raised in. And so when people become adults, we just assume you should know better. And that's not always the case, because if I have a certain orientation, until I meet and come in contact with someone who can show me another way, who can open my eyes, that change will never happen. That's why it's dangerous, as my two brothers said, that we just fuss at people, assuming they ought to know better. Yes, in our orientation, we know better, and we project that off onto other people. But our responsibility in knowing better, because I was telling my executive assistant just a minute ago that there's also a such thing as having the privilege of being a child of light and not a child of darkness. And so we have to handle that responsibility as well, being privileged to be a person in the light and enlightened like that.
Indeed, indeed. Professor, what are your thoughts?
So I think it's absolutely fantastic that we're having the discussion. And all of the panelists were extremely enlightening. My father said, if you put a knife in my back 12 inches or 9 inches and you pull it out 6 inches, there's still 3 inches in my back.
Yeah.
And we haven't even pulled the knife all the way out, let alone have the dialogue, because there have been so many hundreds of years of this psychological trauma and no accountability for it. And so if we're going to resolve these ongoing issues of living in fear and living terrorized and having this disadvantage, and our children being living as they are, it is extremely important that we are having the conversation and that we are having strategies and that someone will be accountable for these ongoing acts. I think it's absolutely extremely important.
Indeed. And in that light, Dr. King, this evening we've learned about the King Center's call for others to host 1,000 courageous conversations. What impact or changes in communities are you hoping to see as a result of those conversations?
Well, let me say this. There's something my father said that I think we need to hear, and why we are having these conversations. And that is that there's nothing in this world more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity.
Yeah.
Sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. If a person is ignorant, they don't know. Maybe they should know, because with all that we have in this world, they should avail themselves to find out. But if I live in privileged circumstances, That's what I know, that's what I'm comfortable with, and that's what I'm going to stick with. So we felt that it was necessary to take people out of that sincere ignorance and that conscientious stupidity. Those are the people who know, but they choose to be stupid about it. You know, they're trying to, you know, protect that privilege, and they do know better. And so these conversations are designed to get people out of the fear zone and get them connected so that they can begin to have those conversations and understand each other. A lot of times we talk at each other and not talk with each other. And so our courageous conversations are really about having those conversations where we talk with each other and we learn from each other. And once we know each other, because Daddy said, you know, men often fear each other because they hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they don't communicate with each other. And they don't communicate with each other because they are separated from each other. And so this brings us together to have it, to make the connection so that we can explore together what can we do to change our community and not continue to let media divide us and define us. We need to rise above all of that and discover each other, because we're in this together. And unless we learn to live together, as Daddy said, as brothers and sisters, we're going to be forced to perish as fools. So we want to have these 1,000 conversations with people. We want them to join in and have these conversations. Now, should I say more how?
By all means. I'm in no position to stop you.
So the conversation that you just saw with my brothers and sisters in Leadership Atlanta, and I want to thank those other members of Leadership Atlanta who are here tonight as well, are the kinds of conversations that we want people to have around dinner table. If you want to have coffee and desserts, it doesn't matter which way you choose to do it, but come out of your comfort zone and come together with a diverse mix of people. And register at the King Center. We've partnered with Civic Dinners. We want to have these 1,000 conversations over the next year. And something special will happen if you register soon. One of those conversations out of the first 100 registrations, I will join the person who is chosen with our other partner, P&G. Damon Jones will come with me, and we will have that conversation with you. And if you go to belovedcommunitytalks.org, you can register there. And we don't just want you to have the conversation. We want you to share the experience with us, and we want you to do it more than one time. You know, that's not enough. There's persistence, there's consistency that's important. So hopefully those conversations will open people up to go further and go deeper and then begin to do something, because conversation is not alone. That's lip service.
Right.
We got to pay life service to this process.
Indeed.
To undo systemic racism.
And Professor, I'll close very quickly on this, on that point. They have, you know, conversations that, you know, that aren't enough by, you know, by themselves, but we need to have, say, those conversations before, say, action can be taken. Because I know certain people, not accepting myself from this, push for action so fervently, but we're not necessarily pushing for understanding. Why is that so essential?
Well, one of the things that I'm really grateful for, well, first, I'm happy that I could come here on this amazing historic day with my sister here. I love her so much. I love her family. And a lot of people just did not realize that our families were close and that our mothers were very close.
Yes, they were.
But one of the things that was very important in my household was this thing of self-love, being clear on who you are, not depending on others to define you. And so for my mother, she made sure that our identity was intact, that we learned who we were as people of African ancestry, that we learned who we were as people, you know, women, the significant contributions that we made to history, so that when I love me, then I love you. I see us as a reflection of one another. Okay. When you're in pain, I want to do something about it. Compassion, care, all so important. When I don't love me, I don't love you.
That's right.
And so we can never, ever see eye to eye.
Wow, that is quite the point for us to end on. Unfortunately, we have to get going, but I want to first commend you both for continuing the work and upholding the legacies of your parents.
Thank you. Engineer, I want to take this time to thank you very much for joining us tonight, and Anquan and Takeo and Dina and Jacqueline. I want to thank all of you for making this a night for people to remember, because what's important is that we leave here and remember what was shared, and that we begin to make it contagious, that we even tell other people about signing up for these conversations.
Yeah.
Because if we don't understand systemic racism
That's right.
and its origins and its roots, we're going to continue to perpetuate it. And in fact, we're already perpetuating it in our technology systems. And that's why we have to disrupt what is happening right now.
Indeed, amen to that. I want to, say just again, your efforts are needed more than ever, as not just because of technology, but of course, we have a number of other tempests raging at the moment. And we just want to thank you all, including all of our guests that have been on the stage tonight for these conversations. And lastly, I want to thank the audience. I want to thank all of you here tonight. And I want to thank all of you watching online.
And I want to thank the Oprah Scholars, too, who were here
Yes.
tonight as volunteers.
Yes, indeed. The Oprah Winfrey Scholars from Morehouse College, thank you very much.
And the King Center staff and team.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you for everyone who played a part in making this evening possible, including all of you watching online. We encourage you again to register to join these conversations, and we wish you a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining Beloved Community Talks. We hope you were inspired by these courageous conversations. The King Center and our partners at Civic Dinners invite you to join us in bridging the racial divide in our nation by hosting your own courageous conversation. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 conversations across the nation. To learn more, visit us on the web at belovedcommunitytalks.org.